Hey Dreamers, Bryce here from Midnight Notion, singer-songwriter, musician, and a big fan of Metallica. But I have no idea what my favorite Metallica song is. Could it be The End of the Line? Let's use math to find out. Cue the intro.
So Ted, give it to me now!
For the best Metallica song! The End of the Line, track 2 from Death Magnetic. I'm so glad we're here. We had a really long video yesterday, so I'm going to do my best to keep this one a little bit shorter. I'm going to listen to the song. I'm going to stop it every once in a while whenever I hear something interesting, just to point it out, not to block the copyright problems, just to point it out. This is an educational video. And then I'm going to grade it using the following criteria: composition, memorability, emotional response, instrumentation, and of course, lyrics. Each category is a 0 to 4 scale with the grand total of 20 possible points. We'll find out at the end of the video if this song has what it takes to get to the top 20. Make sure you hit that subscribe button because, sometimes ducks like to walk along the beach. That's a good enough reason, right? End of the line. This song starts on the 2. 1, 2. It's a 2 downbeat, and the snare hits are on the 1 and the 3. So let's see how this, not every snare hit, but I'll show you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, Awesome. All right. How cool is that to lead a riff with the 2? Usually you're going to lead it with the 1, or it's going to be the and of the 4, right? Sometimes you have an offbeat. But this one starts on the 2. They have that rest at the beginning. So they would count it in as 1, 2, 3. They'd do 3 hits, but it would actually be a 1, 3, 1, 2. That's kind of how they counted it in when it was the new song anyway. Does anybody remember the new song? I think it was 2006. They were on tour and they, was it the Sick of the Studio tour? I don't remember, but they played the new song. It didn't even have a title and it opened with this riff. So really cool riff. Bum, 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 bum. Later in the song, it feels almost like those snare hits, the ba, ba, bah. It feels like they would be on like the 2 and the 4, but they're actually on the 1 and the 3. And I think that's what makes this opening so interesting, is because you could choose to say that it starts on the 1, 1, and then it would line up to be 2 and 4. But then you'd have to add in an odd measure somewhere along the way to get it to round off again, right? So in order to keep this straight all the way through, it is in 4/4 common time, but the emphasis starts on the 2, and I just find that really fascinating. Okay, we talk a lot about patterns 3 times through the riff and a tag on the end. I want you to listen to it, to this entire song, and see if you can find that same pattern throughout. We already have this main riff. Repeat that 3 times, and then the last time, it goes up higher. So really, really cool starting off. Okay, there's the change, right? We have 3 and a tag, and then we repeat it all the way through and repeat those same 3, but instead of the tag, it's a different tag. It's just straight da 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 da. Now listen to this section here. It throws off. I remember playing this for someone, a friend of mine. It was the first time he'd ever heard it. He banged his head expecting a hit where there wasn't a hit. What they're doing is they're playing with you. They're setting up patterns and they're breaking the patterns. So listen to the patterns. They're going to stop, and then there's not going to be a stop where you think there's a stop, and it's really creative. Right there. You think those last are going to be hits again because they set it up. Hold. Right? And so you expect to do those next 2 hits, and then it comes in again. You think maybe we're going to get a repeat, but no, we're going to come into the riff. tag.
Need more and more tainted misery. Bleed, battle scars, chemical affinity.
So we have a new riff for the verses. Really cool, but it always ends with that same tag. Always with the tag on the end. Really cool.
Rain, legacy, innocence corrode. Stain, right away.
I love that. Right away. He's growling. It's really cool. But it kind of, think about the word rot away. If you just sang rot away, that'd be fine. It would be passable. But he's like coloring it. Rot away, because rotting is like a gritty, like falling apart. Rot away. Really, really awesome job.
Catatonic overload.
Call back to the riff, right? Okay, we have sort of a bridging riff, if you will, before and after each verse. But it was very long before the first verse. Remember this for the second time through, okay? The first verse, we had the stops, stop, 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 no stop, and then play the riff through, all the way through with the tag on the end, the build tag, right? We end the verse with the stops, and we just go just one time through the stops, and now we're in the main riff again. So remember that pattern, because we're going to come back for another verse, and we're going to have a third verse after the chorus. They all have a different setup and a different payoff, they keep changing it throughout, and that's what makes these songs interesting. When you have a 7.5 minute long song, or almost 8 minute long song, you can't just play the same thing. You can't just copy paste it. You can, but we're all going to get bored. This keeps us interested. So play along at home. These videos have now gone from me just talking about it. Now you know what I'm looking for. See if we can hear it. See? They do the stop. They make you think you're going to get the stops, but then they go into the riff. Really cool. Okay, so this build-up riff is an entirely new riff, but it's still a reference to everything that we've had so far. Boo, ba-da-da-doo, ba-da-da-doo-doo. That main riff, those first notes. Boo, ba-da-da-doo. I believe that's A and A sharp. All right, the low note is obviously E, bo, and then A sharp, and then back down to E, ba, ba-da-da-ba. Right? This riff is just those three notes again. Ba-da-da, 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 ba-da-da. They're referencing it. It's not like some new, like, oh, we have a brand new riff and we're going to just add it here. It all fits with the theme of the song, right? The theme of the song just lives in that A sharp, and E area. Now we got a cool riff that reminds us of, what was I just talking about from Saint Anger? Was it Purify? I don't remember.
Hooked into this deceiver, need more and more. Into the endless fever, need more and more. New consequence machine, you burn through all your gasoline. Asylum.
Okay, so there's something really cool going on in the second part of this chorus, right? We started with those just riffs on the high part of the fretboard, way up into the 15th fret. That's a G, I believe, but it's a higher up on the fretboard, still using the low string. Really cool. We get a little bit of a dissonant harmony. I don't think they're doing exactly thirds. They're moving it just a little bit. But now we come into a climb down, sort of a chromatic chromatic climb down, while one guitar is still doing that riffy stuff, and then the drums have switched to 1, 2, and 3, a 1 and 2 and 3, a 1 and 2 and 3, and there's that rest on the 4 each time. It's really interesting, and then we get a nice little triplet, bam. Sometimes I forget the difference between a triplet and dotted eighth notes with, you know what I'm talking about. Music theory nerds, explain it down below. Let's listen to the song.
Overtime, never mind. You reach the end of the line.
I want to point out too here the line. his nah, the end of that line, to, pun intended, is on a beat, on the downbeat. You can, I think a lot of singers, myself included, we forget that the voice is an instrument and we forget where to drop off our words. So you could sing that anyway. End of the line. You could just disappear, you could fade it out. But line, nah. And when he has that nah, it's right on the downbeat, and I appreciate that. It could have gone anywhere, but I appreciate that it lines up to the grid. Same as first one. So I lied. This is a direct copy paste. I did not hear anything different with this bridging section, but that's okay. It's okay because the second verse we had a difference, so we can come back to it and extend it again with familiar. I don't know. It could be padding. You could call this padding if you want to. I think it fits fine, so I have no complaints about it, but just wanted to point that out.
Time, choke the clock, steal another day. Die, faithfully, narcissistic, fade away. Twisted, jump the rail, shatter the crowd below. Breaker, chase the ghost from latest high to all-time low.
Breaker, right? Breaker. It's really cool. One thing I didn't point out, we're getting some thirds in there. Little third harmony in there. And the other thing is the tag. Sometimes it's all on the snare, right? He's always hitting the downbeat on a cymbal with the kick drum, but then hitting the rest on the snare. But sometimes he switches to the toms. You get and we get a little fill out of it. So it is changing just slightly. It's, I mean, again, you could argue it's probably copy pasted from verse 2 or verse 3. That's okay. It's okay to copy paste some things like that. If you want to get a perfectly sounding recording, sometimes that's just what happens, right? You don't always have... look, if you play a song all the way through and you want to do it in one take, that's fine. That's going to sound a lot more indie though, right? Some of your indie rock and just kind of soothing, like singer-songwriter type vibes, there's a real rawness to some of that stuff. And so you might have artists that are playing it all the way through. I know that in my songs, I tend not to copy paste verses and choruses because I actually tend to write in changes in each one. So I don't typically copy paste anything. I usually have something new each time. But that said, if I did copy paste, I don't think that makes me a lesser musician. We're trying to write something that is interesting to listen to. And it's not about whether or not you can play it in one go. It's about how does it sound to the listener. And sometimes when you want the listener to get a certain experience, you have to do things a certain way. There are movies that have flashbacks, and those flashback scenes aren't refilmed every time. Sometimes it's just a copy-paste of what we saw before. And that's okay if you're trying to evoke a certain type of experience. I'm not saying that they always copy-paste. Not at all. What I am saying is that if it is the case, because we do know that they Frankenstein their songs, that doesn't make them a worse band because of it. It's just recording. It's just how it works.
Hooked into this deceiver, need more and more. Into the endless fever, need more and more. New consequence machine, you burn through all your gasoline. I find them over time, never mind, you reached the end of the line.
I don't think they're triplets. I think it is dotted eighth notes. Dot, 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 dot. You're going to have to... You know what? I have the actual tab booklet. Let me look it up. It is artist approved. End of the line. Oh, I was right. It is triplets. Look at that right there. You've reached the end of the line. I don't know if you could see this. I don't know if it's readable, but it's triple it, triple it. Also, interesting note, Nevermind is a 2/4 measure. So it's really nice of them to stick a little 2/4 measure in there. Very well done. Nice job, Metallica. Round of applause for the 2/4 measure. Yay! Gonna have to keep this book handy for the rest of the record. Now, I knew this before I opened the book, but this next section is a little bit slower. They dropped the tempo just slightly to get a real drag. You can actually, I'm going to rewind it just slightly. I want you to count at home. Count along with the tempo of the song and see if you can feel the tempo shift. I'm just going to go back 5 seconds here, I think.
Time, never mind. You reached the end of the line.
Do you hear the drag? It's they're trying to really emphasize the womp 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 become our womp. It's really really cool, but like again, you can goof with the tempos all you want. That's totally appropriate. Harmony. Okay, so we've got 4 times through just womp womp. We got 4 times with just James. We got 4 times with James and Kirk harmonizing. We've got the drums coming in. I guess it's 2 with James, 2 with Kirk, and then 4 with the dueling harmonies with the drums going faster and they're just a little bit higher. You know what? I totally forgot the order of operations. I'm just saying it's building upon itself. Now we're back to this riff. You can hear the wah in Kirk's guitar. You can hear that. I think that actually Rob is doing some pedal work here. But he's being kind of covered up by James playing the same riff. So you can't really hear the bass that well, but it is playing essentially the same thing. I don't know about that solo. You're going to have to tell me how you feel about it, because to me, I look back to something like The Unforgiven and that solo and just that masterpiece, the well-crafted, wonderful nature of that song. It just like, it sings. This solo feels more like, I don't know, we got to fill this section with a solo and I'm kind of uninspired. It kind of repeats over and over. It's kind of just all, 16th notes, maybe it's 32nd notes. And the wah is going, he is moving around the neck, but he's not really doing anything really interesting. And I don't know if that's because, he's just kind of running out of solo ideas. I don't know if that's because of the wonky rhythm of the song, that emphasis on the 2. Maybe that rhythm section is a little bit too busy to write anything different. But I think that we all know that Kirk can do much better than this. So that solo is kind of meh for me. All right, here's where it gets interesting. You thought we were going to just jam on the chorus, but no, we're going to pull this sucker down, and we're going to Master of Puppets this thing. We're going to bring it all the way down and slowly build our way back up. This is what I think makes this song wonderful. Once we get to this section, but listen to how many guitars are going on here. We got the two guitars riffing. They're kind of harmonizing off of each other. There's a little bit of thirds. There's a little dissonant chord. You know, it might be like a sus4 or something like that. I don't know exactly what harmonizing techniques they're using. I'm not going to do that math right now, but they're harmonizing. And then there's a ba-da-bop-bop-bop with stops. That's another guitar layer just on the bottom, just to emphasize it a little bit more. They have to choose which one is going to play which part live. But this build up and drop down, or build down, well, let's call it a build down. I love this build down, and then the clean section and the build back up to the chorus. I don't know if I have a whole lot to say in that section. I really want to just hear it clean. So I'm going to try to challenge myself to not stop it for a little while. We'll see how long it takes. Set your timers in 3, 2, 1, go. Guitar stopped. I love the sound of the hi-hats here. It's like falling asleep. Dying, maybe?
Drop the hourglass of time, spilling sand we will not find. As we gather here today, we bid farewell. The slave becomes the master.
Kick drum. Yeah, that bass line too.
The slave becomes the master. The slave becomes the master. Yeah! The slave becomes the master. Need more and more. Right now and ever after. Need more and more. New consequence machine. Burn through all your gasoline. Asylum overtime. Never mind. Dead hours, not some time. Said we will not ever fight. We gather here today. Say goodbye, 'cause you reached the end of the line.
I had to stop it. How long did it take me? Tell me in the comments below. How long was it between saying I wasn't going to stop it and actually stopping it? I want to know. Wow, so much to discuss. I love that build. I can't really say much that you don't already know. It feels wonderful to come back. We come back to that pre-chorus. We go into the chorus, but it's a tease because they don't do the full chorus. They add a second section to it. They do a whole new extended chorus, and that's what I love so much. The third chorus is different from the first two choruses. Thank you so much for the composition gods. I'm happy, right? We have the 1, 2, 3, a 1 and 2 and 3, and then it switches to a 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Or I guess that'd be a 1 and 3 and 1 and 3, and the double kick pedal, and then the build, triplet, bam. What a cool, energetic song. We're back to the main riff, but holy moly, I'm having fun. This is an appropriate transition. Very, very well done. This is what I wish they would have done with Dirty Window, with the judge, the jury, the executioner 2. If they brought that down and they really let it sit and just kind of like linger for a little bit, and then they built it up into the chorus, I think that would have been really cool. But this, I mean, can you argue? I mean, you can, but don't. Be a nice person. Come on.
The end of the line.
Add the hook.
The end of the line. The end of the line. You've reached the end of the line.
Yeah. That's a really cool ending, too. Okay, I should say that little pull off at the end there, I maybe stole something like that for one of my songs called Poisonous Love. You can find it on the internet. I love the ending. It's great. We have the main riff, but we're extending the main riff to include the hook of the chorus. So we took that dun 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 two. That's part of the chorus. They only do it in halves. End of the line is just the 3. But in the chorus, it's 6. You've reached the end of the line for the chorus. So we have the main riff. We add just end of the line 3 times. Again, setting a pattern, and the 4th time is different. But the pattern, we have end of the line, end of the line, end of the line, and he goes up on that 3rd time, and then the 4th time is all 6. You've reached the end of the line, and instead of resolving it, you've reached the end of the line. He goes down the line, and then got that little build up, and then the chord, I don't know what's going on there. There's some sort of dissonance going on. I feel like one of them is on the 2, or if you want to call that like a 9 chord or 11. I don't know what chord it is. I just know it sounds cool, all right? So let's talk about this song. I hope you enjoyed it. Let's give it some points. Here we go. Composition. Now, I know that this is verse, verse, chorus, bridge, chorus, kind of, in a way. So sort of similar, but it does kind of does break away from every other song in that there's 2 verses before the first chorus. And it does have that nice break. It's not just right into a bridge in a solo. It's like, it's a whole solo, and then it comes down, and it comes way the hell down. We're talking almost different song down, similar to Master of Puppets. You could compare the song to Master of Puppets. You could compare it to Creeping Death in the way that the verses go. Slaves, heroes born to serve. They got like sort of that chanty bit, and then some more vocals, and then another chant, and then a bunch of vocals. So they have a very similar structure that way. I really appreciate the time signature change, just the slight little thing in the end of the chorus. I really appreciate the starting on the 2, making it feel like a 1, but it's actually the 2, kind of playing on the offbeat, shifting the rhythm over just slightly. It's something I wish more people would do. I wish more bands would experiment with not just starting on the 1, really just shifting it over a little bit. Really cool there. I don't think I have much to complain about with this. It has everything I'm looking for. I guess I could knock the solo a little bit, but I think we'll talk about that in the instrumentation section. So really, I think that this has everything I look for in a good song. Compositionally, that's a 4. Memorability. So I may have compared it to Creeping Death in the way that the verse moves, but the thing that this song is missing is that die. You know, it doesn't have that one chantable word, and that's what brings memorability down. I do have to say, though, the secret about this memorability category is it also sort of kind of falls into audience response, right? And earlier today, I watched the debut performance of the new song, which features the intro of the end of the line. And when they got to the da, the audience instinctively, it's their first time hearing it, they were already going, hey, 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 hey. So you know you've got a good riff if the first time you play it, the audience just knows. They just know to say hey. So that's pretty cool. I think the slave becomes a master is a really cool hook. I think end of the line. It's only 4 words. That's really easy to remember. And even you've reached the end of the line. Having every instrument and the vocals emphasize that point makes it very memorable. So in my opinion, I think that this song is very memorable. I think that it falls out maybe in that there's a couple of riffs in here you might have forgotten if you haven't heard the song in a while. I know that bridge I'm calling it the bridging, like the verse bridge, the bridging riff. What did I call it? I don't even remember what I call it, but the thing that goes before and after each verse, that sort of kind of gets forgotten. Words are hard. Memorability, it's a 3. Emotional response. Again, I can't come into this record without re-emphasizing that I have a lot of bias towards it. I think this is some of their best material. I think that we have a lot of nods to their past. We have some effects on the bass that remind us of Cliff Burton. We have some verses that remind us of Creeping Death. We got a middle/end section that reminds us of, Master of Puppets or Sanitarium, or just really any song that kind of comes comes down like that in the middle. It's really cool, man. It's a really cool song, and I want to hear it live once again. I've only heard it live once. I would love this one to come back. So please play it again. Emotional response, that's a 4. Instrumentation. As I said before, the only real complaint I have about this song is the solo. Not because I think that It's not because I believe that every song has to have a solo. It's not because I believe that every solo has to follow a certain pattern. It's because I know Kirk can write some really killer solos, and I feel like he kind of fell off the solo train towards the load reload era. We found him kind of slipping off of that, and then he didn't do anything in Insane Anger, and now he's kind of coming back to it. And even though they had played tours and stuff, and they had played all their old materials, so it's not like he's new to soloing. It's just that writing solos has been so far. Let's hear from like if we put his last solo on Reload, right? His last written solo would have been what, 96, 97, and he made it all the way to 2008 before his next written solo. That's a long time. It's a long time to go without writing a solo. So I just feel like this song kind of shows he's not quite all the way back yet. So I'm only knocking it because I feel like the solo has more room to grow, but everything else is playing really well in this song. So instrumentation, that's a 3. Lyrics. I like what they're saying in the song. I want to explore a little bit more about what it means. I think that you could grab a lot of different meanings from this. It's interesting to hear another list of things like just screaming out a word and then saying whatever's related to that word. Breaker, jump the rails, shatter the crowd below. I may have mixed some verses up, but twisted. That's what it is. Twisted. Jump the rail, shatter the crowd below. All right, that's its own line. Each two lines are uniquely related, but then the next two lines that follow are not related to the ones before it, and it kind of repeats that pattern all the way through until we get into plugged into this deceiver. And so when you think of plugged in the context of Metallica lyrics, that might be some sort of, some sort of drug or addiction, new consequence machine, you burn through all your gasoline, right? It sounds a lot like this could be Frantic too, actually. The more I think about it, this could be about ruining your life, like sucking in all the information, right? Watching YouTube for too long. Please don't go. Please don't go. Watching TV and ingesting all this social media stuff. It just like bringing everything in, and you all of a sudden you miss out on your life. You've reached the end of the line, and all you did was just ingest information and ingest toxins. And maybe your words or your actions were shattering crowds below, right? It could be stuff like that. I think it's just kind of depicting destructive lifestyles and the need for more. Like, I got some, and now I want more, and now I want more, and now I want more. And then all of a sudden, the people who are living that lifestyle start finding themselves in power, and the people in power want more, 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 more. And it just keeps growing, and it's just an endless cycle of death. Very scary situation to be in. I hope you're all free thinkers. You're open-minded. You're able to see when you're falling into a bad pattern. That's why I point out patterns all the time. I want to be able to recognize when my patterns are going astray. So hopefully you're able to recognize that. You don't reach the end of the line without a couple of positive points in your life before then. Lyrically, I like what's happening here. I don't have any major complaints, but I guess I think they could do better. So I don't really know how to explain why. I just think that they're really solid lyrics and still positive score. So that's a 3. And so End of the Line gets a total of 17 points, but is it enough for the top 20? It is, just barely squeezing in 19th place, just above Fade to Black. I know I'm going to get a lot of hate from the Fade to Black listeners, but I think it was the lyrics that does it for me. Actually, I'm looking at a different board than what you're seeing, so I don't have the full stats. But really, End of the Line, go back and watch my Fade to Black video. You'll understand why they rate that way. But anyway, yeah, wow, Fade to Black is now on the chopping block, and End of the Line is the second Death Magnetic song, right after Life in 12th place there. So and we've already said goodbye. Unnamed Feeling, see you later. We will no longer see anything from Saint Anger on this top 20 list. So sayonara, thanks for coming, thanks for playing. I'm excited to get into the rest of the record because I'm telling you, this whole board is going to change. Now it's your turn. In the comments below, tell me, using my method, what score you would give this song. Also, because we're on the last couple records, I need you to tell me what you'd like me to do with these ties and what you would like me to listen to next. I'm open to reviewing a lot more. I don't know that I can do daily content after we finish this journey because I don't have 1,000 subscribers. So the next thing you got to do is hit that subscribe button, right? You hit that subscribe button, the more followers I get, the more regularly I can upload stuff. So I'm going to go daily until the end of Metallica, and then we'll see where we go from there. So make sure you put in the comments what you need. Check out my music. Midnight Notion is available all over the internet. And of course, smash that subscribe. I already said it, but you know what to do because of the ducks. Do it for the ducks. I'll see you tomorrow for Broken Beat and Scarred. Thanks for watching.